Hey, welcome to the Papi Negro podcast. My name is Phil Eastman. Here with me, I got my homie Chris Robinson.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Shit, yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be a
Hey, wait, hold on. He was not that white before we
I
started
know.
on the show. I
He was
just want
like-
to put that out there.
Bookers may be listening to this, so I got
Ladies and
gentlemen. I got my dog with me, Hero No Cape,
Yeah.
Robert Bass,
No fish. Or like the fish.
and we got my dog behind the boards, Azam.
No bomb.
We are out here. Today's a special episode. This is my dog, Robert Bass's sending off episode.
I'm sorry, people.
Dang, it happened last minute, bro. I felt bad.
It did.
So let's toast to that. Let's toast to
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But,
Already finished.
Yeah, we get that Arizona iced tea in there. I'm toast you.
That boom.
Man got a real 9 to 5.
Shit, I wish it
Oh,
was
man.
95. We wouldn't have no problem.
But dog, how have you been? I'm happy to finally get you on.
I've been excellent. This was last night was crazy. So
What
I
happened?
did,
You wanna talk about it? What's up?
Yeah, so I did Facel's Malik's show
Ooh.
at the
What did he
what
say?
is the Underground Coffee shop is what it's called. I featured for Kyle Grooms,
Yeah,
but I get on the I live
that's
in
a
Melbourne.
dope dude. He's dope. He's
No,
dope.
he dope as shit.
I was in Melbourne, so I'm like 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
And I get on 95. I get about 25 minutes down the road, and my car starts overheating.
You don't have antifreeze on?
Oh,
you?
you a nigga.
You know what's so funny? That voice, like when you said that, that voice just went out the window.
Yeah. Call overheated. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you reminded.
I pulled over. I called my uncle who lives like right by that exit where I was at.
Oh, okay.
He came with
the
his
white
wife. Huh?
That's the white in you.
Okay. He I don't know what to say. I have an uncle, so I'm white. Like, this nigga had,
wives apparently makes us.
No, I'm not gonna
he,
say nothing.
he grew up with
How do
no
we
family. Like he just an orphan. Like I'm white for having an uncle.
He's gonna run in the field like a Disney character, start singing.
Motherfucking Phil Drummond. Where the world don't move.
So then
I'm tripping off him saying because I have an uncle
like I'm white.
and I have a dad too. Does that make me white?
Yes, it does.
Robert, what kind of family structure you have?
He just-
Nigga was raised by his younger cousin from birth.
It was just fucked up because I know my dad. But go ahead.
If I was your dad, anyway, I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry, bro.
So it's brought to you
So-
by Hennessy.
Privilege. Hey, you see how it all
Privilege,
comes back?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But so I get in his car now, get back on the road. I'm already running late. I'm doing 95 miles an hour, literally, to get there on time.
Right.
I run into an accident, so now I'm stuck behind the accident.
95.
And I get 15 miles from the venue, and the promoter was like, "Hey, you got to be on stage in like 20 minutes, something like that." He's very about on time.
You know, the thing
right?
is, you would think he'd throw you a bone because you drove, 4 hours?
No, 2.5 hours.
2.5? 2.5, okay.
2.5. But I mean, the thing is, the show has to start when the show has to start. The show's not about me. I'm not the headliner. Like
You're
I know,
a
like if the
feature.
headliner is late, then
Right.
you know
You're a
they move it
feature.
around. Yeah. But I get within 3 miles of the venue. I got to be on stage in like 10 minutes, and I get caught behind a train.
Yep. I've
Yep,
had that.
yep, yeah.
I've had that.
When were we talking on the phone? When you were behind the train or where you were?
Yeah, I was so pissed off. Honestly, I didn't even have anything to do. I just didn't want to be on the phone. I was so pissed off.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, I can't hear a person's voice
You
right
pulled
now.
it.
Like,
He pulled a nigga.
What?
All right, nigga, yo, I'm about to fly. I'll talk to you. You know, niggas just say a random. Hey, I'm about to go fight crime, my nigga. You want some more, Henny?
I'm good, man.
You sure?
I don't want to stop the
That,
seconds for that.
you hit it right. You was at the train track right before the Peter Pan.
Yep.
But you probably didn't notice that because you was just like, fuck
Yeah.
it, I need to get there.
Yeah.
So, okay, go for it.
I get there literally 9 minutes before I have to be on stage.
Okay.
Don't have a chance to drink water. I get up there, my
Nothing.
mouth is dry and everything. But I mean, the show went great. Kyle Groom was amazing.
Yeah,
So it was
definitely.
great.
You know what's dope about being a comedian is that you work with people you saw on TV.
Yeah.
And like me and him are like around the same age. And it's like, yo, you remember being in school 6th, 7th grade and you see this nigga on TV.
Yeah.
And now they're like, yo, good set. And they're like, you got to act cool. Like, yeah, you know. But deep down inside, you're like,
Yeah. That's how I was the first time I saw him. Because like I saw like the flyer and I'm like, yo, think I seen this nigga on television.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he was like, yo, like he was real personable.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo.
No, he's very cool.
He's so chill. It's like a superpower.
Yeah.
He's just so unbothered. He's like, hey man, what's up, man? Yeah. That is so cool. I'm not like that.
I think that's the best though, and I think it makes it easy when you're trying to figure out your way to get to where they are. To see somebody where you're trying to get to.
Absolutely.
That's just cool and calm.
Yeah.
Man, shit. Hey, that was a good set.
Like, I always notice how, as a comic, it's hard to visualize making an income, like a sustainable income as a comedian. So, like, when Kyle drove off in his Benz truck, I was like, okay. Like, okay.
I got a Benz truck.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Me either. I was like, oh,
like, you got a better relationship with him than I do. Like,
no. I just saw him leave.
I didn't see when the nigga left. I thought he was a magician.
For real. Nigga, hey, where'd he go?
Like, he was here, and the next moment, he was gone. Like, I didn't know the nigga had a Benz or a truck.
You know, the thing I thought about, in movies, like, you probably want to go talk to Kyle, and then you tap the nigga on the shoulder, and you think it's Kyle, he turn around, it's another nigga, you're like, never mind, my bad. Yeah. But nah, man.
You know who I met who was like that? TK Kirkland.
You met him?
So here's my strategy.
That's the Who Raised You nigga?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The one who's on DJ Vlad claiming he started everything. Yo, I was there when Judas was about to tell on Jesus, man. I tried to tell Jesus. Jesus didn't want to listen to me.
That nigga is...
Nah, but low-key, that man's like in everyone's stories, though. Like TK.
Yeah.
Nah, he did some incredible stuff.
He is, but he's one of those dudes.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if we would be friends. Like, because he's so raw to how he feels about comedy.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, if you don't feel that same way,
Yeah.
nigga, who raised you?
He opened for NWA on tour and got kicked off the tour for being too rowdy for NWA.
Yeah, I saw.
He
did that. He said that.
Fucking intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that shit on Vlad. And I was like, nigga. These niggas was screaming.
Fuck the police.
Yeah.
And what nigga? What are you? What's worse than fuck the police?
Exactly. And
Hey, rape that bitch. Oh, like, what can you say that is true? That a group called niggas with attitudes are like,
niggas with attitudes.
We can't have you part of this anymore. You're a liability.
And that's the crazy part, because I think I saw that interview after I saw Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
And I really was like,
What did he do?
what was you saying?
But I was at the
Like, seriously.
so it's not that I met him like I got to do a show or anything. My strategy, and this is probably dirty, underhanded, but
No.
any comic that I want to meet, I will wait for them to come to the closest improv, and I'll go and make sure that I meet them.
Nigga, we all do that.
Okay, so when you said I met TK Kirkland, like, oh my God, you worked with him. I'm just saying
You said not to sound dirty or underhanded. We're looking at you like, yeah. And then you said that. We're like,
don't start it off like that, nigga. You did
said-
what most niggas should do.
That's the most basic shit to do.
you know, fuck out of here.
I don't know. Like,
No.
You said two words, dirty and underhanded, and we all pervs. So when you said that, we're like,
like, damn, you fucked this nigga daughter?
oh, Jesus Christ. No.
Like, yo.
I love his reaction. Jesus Christ.
Like, seriously. Like, no.
I like
That
your
shit is-
stat. Yo, this nigga is smart.
That's smart strategy.
Yeah. So I try to, put myself in places where, because the other thing is I've noticed, and, every comedy scene has like their gatekeepers to get to certain opportunities. And I'm out of Melbourne, and Melbourne is like kind of the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere.
So really,
Port St. Lucie and Melbourne, not too different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I was thinking that, but I wasn't gonna say it. Thank you, Phil.
So
the Henny.
like the Orlando Improv isn't really my home. The West Palm Beach Improv isn't really my home.
Definitely
Like
not
there's
your home.
there's no major club that's gonna have opportunities that's really my home.
Right.
So I've had to figure out other strategies because they don't just let you in there. Like, even if you're good.
No.
But the thing is, bro, you already know me and you are cool. So I put in word any place that you want to be. I'm like, yo,
That's a lie.
But
hold on.
No. Phil got me on.
With you. This is the last show.
No. I am not that nigga.
No. But
Because when you said that, I went like this. And then he was
I
like,
can vouch
the
that
difference
Phil.
is some niggas will do that shit and just leave it at that. But I correct it. Like Phil ain't that nigga.
I wasn't I wasn't worried about you because I know he was going to talk. That's why I went.
Phil just like a week and a half ago got me on stage at the West Palm Beach Improv on Jay Guy's show.
Okay.
So and to return the favor, I murdered on that show. So Phil's word is good.
That's what's up.
And not only that, but I told Faso about it.
Huh?
Did you really murder?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because we always talk about we killed.
Yeah. Oh, nigga, I killed the
and then other motherfuckers be posting on Facebook like, yo, if you know this nigga never show up.
Shade. Yo, I gotta. One thing.
Wait, can I say one thing?
You asked for permission. What the fuck?
Yeah, because
he's being
okay.
Because I'm being politically correct. You asked me what was the sound effect
Of what?
when he said where he did the last show. Do you not know? Okay, all right. Never mind. We can move on.
We'll talk off air. But no, I'm one of those people where like if I like you and I think you're good, man, I need to help you in any which way I can. You know what I'm saying? Because we all we got. You know what I'm saying?
We are.
We're literally all we got, and I consider him a friend. You know, so it's like that's what we got to do.
Phil will fucking talk my ear off in the Publix parking lot.
He's the only comic.
It's one of those things. Like, did you watch the Kobe special? Not Kobe special, but the ceremony and then Michael
special.
Jordan.
This nigga acting like Kobe came out in a leather suit with
I don't know how you would really like
the memorial service.
But that's Kobe.
Yeah.
Like that shit is. I hated Kobe, but I loved him out of respect. You know what I mean? Like I hated the killer in him because he wasn't playing for my team, but I respected the nigga. So to me, it was a special. Like so. When Jordan was talking about how this nigga irritated him, but then he understood like the drive behind him. Like I had to get to that point with Phil.
Where Phil stopped irritating you because he wouldn't shut up.
It wasn't necessarily irritating, but it just came out of the blue. And I was dealing with so much shit that I didn't realize the love behind it. Like when a nigga talk to you in the middle of a parking lot, like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Like, what are you doing? Like, to me, it's like, nigga, why the fuck are you asking? But then when you take back yourself and look at it for what it is, it's like, yo, this nigga is, like, really checking on me. Like, nobody's checking on me. Like, yo, like, how many shows I done did and I done killed, and then nobody's checking on me. But in the middle of the Publix parking lot with a fucking chicken.
The
sub.
The
nigga's like, yo, the sub is getting cold, but I need to know about you. Like, so
why is he talking like he's a chick from the projects and you're her first nice boyfriend?
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Can we take the gloves out now? I don't need to be polite.
Hennessy privilege brings out the emotional side of niggas.
But
he was so nice to me.
You know, he even opened the door and it was in his car. This nigga's a gentleman.
Because that's the thing. Like when we in our area is no different than your area.
Oh, Robert Bass, no more for you, nigga. We know how you get.
No, come on, nigga.
Robert,
I thought we was drinking this shit because of me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get quiet.
This nigga's gonna start crying on this shit. No, man, y'all niggas got me fucked up. He drinking it like it's Aquafina.
Nah, we ain't that close to the inner, but you know. But
I'm 100% buying this when we head up for my bachelor party.
No, I got you.
I enjoy this that much.
It's so smooth. Hennessy, when you drink it, you gotta take. You just gotta. You gotta drink. I'm like.
Fuck it, we can get in a fight tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, I might fight the mannequin.
Which is some real shit with Azam, because Azam will stab you over Popeye's chicken sandwich.
This nigga. Hold on,
So
you're
when
about
that
to
nigga
say
say
something.
some shit
I'm
about
curious.
this-
When he says, what were you gonna say? What? You said that like.
what?
He was like, no, Philip is the only.
Oh, I was just gonna say you're the only comedian that calls me on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Like
okay.
actual phone com.
So basically, some other bitch shit. You know what I'm saying? Other niggas just text me for a booty call, but you called me for a booty call. All right, you see how that shit just moved
turns
around?
Phil is a calling nigga.
Good, you're not the only one. He called me on Friday. I just became a teacher. I'm mid-class, and I look at my phone. I'm like, we just talked this morning via text that I'm a fucking teacher. And this nigga
I forgot. You're a substitute teacher, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
All he's doing is playing a movie anyway. Like, what does he have else to do?
He just come out with the TVs we had from the 90s. Hey, nigga.
Zombie.
Hey, wait.
You my dude.
Hold on. He's like, nigga, we got a flat screen. No, I'm sub. That's teacher privilege.
I wish I could do that shit.
This nigga still got a TV with a tube in it.
I wish I could do that shit.
And you know it has a little tray at the bottom so you can hold all the VHS.
They got the big ass TV strapped on to the cart. Like
You know what happened? My homeboy told me in school, he went to put in the cassette. Because, you know, back in the day when you're kids, you'd be like, hey, I want to bring a movie. And they're like, all right. He ain't check what was in the cassette. And that nigga started porn, hardcore. And he told me that it didn't start from the beginning with the dialogue and the plot. It was straight.
where the fuck did this nigga go to
And
school?
you know what's the funny part about back in the day? Little boys were gross, but hearing the girls go, ew, we'll go, ew, that's nasty.
You know why? Because y'all was more developed. Like in my day and age, nigga, we didn't give a fuck what they was saying. At least y'all was smart enough to be like, oh, bitches don't like this? Oh, ew.
So y'all are smart enough to lie? Like,
Yeah.
no.
Like you ain't
no.
looking at them. You like, ew.
You know what's the crazy part? Like, you growing up with porn is different from us growing up with porn. Like, you had to, like, it's funny because, like,
We had to get VHS.
yeah, or whatever
We
your
didn't even
dad
got
liked,
sugarcoat
you had to just, like,
Nigga,
accept it.
we didn't have, to a certain point, we didn't have cell phones. So the idea of being able to get porn on your phone is mind-blowing, which is probably why if I pull up my search history, nigga, it's porn.
Oh, dude.
Like, the pop-ups and everything. Like, you know what I mean? Because, like,
The
yo,
whole
this
shebang.
shit is crazy. Just don't.
I just have to
check
weird
the
point where,
search
like,
history of what
sometimes I
look
look at plot. Like, if I watch something and I skip and something happened, I'm like, okay, I got to see why this is happening. Sometimes I don't like seeing meaningless sex. Sometimes I want to know what's the purpose.
Why is
what's
there
the
a bell
drive?
pepper involved? In
Yeah,
this?
I'm like,
Let
what
me
this
know.
nigga making a taco off her head? Oh,
I look at the titles. That's the fucked up part for me. I look at the titles like, oh,
dirty whore with no parenting
Like, oh.
background is rammed by a big black.
dirty bitch jogging needs to be taught a lesson.
Listen,
Yes,
listen.
this hoe needs to be taught a lesson.
That's why I love Pornhub because you hover over it and it'll just have like the little summary or whatever. You're like, oh, this is some good
Pornhub
shit.
be like this.
Click, click.
It's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm the type of dude to have like 10 tabs open before I even start jacking off. I'm just like, oh, this looks good. This looks good.
good.
Ooh.
Damn, 10 tabs?
You don't.
I
just,
think
like,
I'm
skip.
pathetic because I only need one tab.
You know what's the worst part? When you finish and you see another one you wanted to watch, you're like, I gotta watch it later.
Too late.
I'm old. Like I don't.
You know what I love? Chris
I
is
don't
like,
beat up
I'm
to
not
the
gonna
movie.
say anything because the bookers and my wife maybe watch.
Yeah. I
Some of
don't-
the opinions expressed on this podcast do not represent some of the no shit.
Yeah, no, real shit.
Yeah, we're
Might
wild.
want to put that out.
Yeah, you might.
If you don't put it out there now, put it out there when we share it.
Not dictated, but written management.
The worst thing, though, I will say this: the worst thing about porn that's ever happened to me is, you know how on your phone, if you shut off a video, it'll like switch to the last app that was open. Mm-hmm. Like, you ever been on like Instagram and like, oh, just like my, your friend's kids playing basketball or something like that,
Oh, I
and
know.
then you shut off Pornhub and then it's like, oh my god, mom, pass the ball. And you're like, what the fuck?
I hate when you're in the middle of a session, you twisting the cap, and then
What?
in the cap. Twisted.
I just wanted to make a.
Yo, no, fuck that.
Rollo out here tonight. I can tell.
This is not
Or-
Philip.
Out here.
This is Rollo. All right, this is not Philip. This is Rollo.
Or you get off the phone with your sister, and when the shit shut down, it goes back to your Instagram, where the bitch spreading the legs and she got good pussy meat.
That with no
Pussy.
context must be retarded. for people
Exactly.
watching that.
It's really what I hate is like when you're in the deed of like looking up something and then someone want to call you. So it's like out of respect, I'm gonna take my hand off my stuff and just watch the phone. Just
I don't jack off while watching it. Like I'm a motherfucker that build up the tank.
what the fuck?
Wait, what?
This thing.
What are you on some Olympic stuff?
You know-
You're like,
This man is edging himself.
Yeah.
Yo,
I love how we all were
I'm
like.
okay with that. Like I'm not beating off. Okay, so first off, we're gonna act like I never had the conversation that I don't listen to the porn I watch.
oh yeah,
I
we
got
had
to.
that
You got
conversation.
to.
We did have that
had that
conversation.
conversation.
So for me, it's not necessarily about the porn in its entirety. It's about visuals for me. So I store it. And now, when I'm in the shower, because to me it makes more sense to beat off in the shower because 2 birds, 1 stone.
You spend a lot of time in jail? Like, what's going on?
No. You know what it is?
It's like I like to do things in the shower based on memory. Like,
no, it's a difference in economy. Like for you gonna beat off, you gonna clean up with the shower, with the towel, and then you're gonna go take a shower. I'm doing the shit all at once.
I can imagine him in the shower like, oops.
Wait a minute, how watching porn goes to dropping the soap?
That's what I'm saying.
That's some young shit.
What?
Yeah, like if you gon' like at the end of the day, if you gonna make the shit weird about me storing porn, you talking about oops. That's dropping the soap.
No, because he said prison, and I'm saying, oh, you're in the shower, and then I'll be like, you're gonna be like, oops.
Okay, Phil.
Guys, you're seeing Hennessy Robert right now.
No,
this is Hennessy
you're
Robert.
seeing Hennessy Phil.
Oh, not a.
With the dropping of the oops.
You know what's the funny part? Oops. We joke about everything. For some reason, this riled up Robert back.
Like no,
he was like, no. I'm
not even riled up. I just think it's unique to me, and maybe it's because it's an old nigga thing. Mm-hmm. I don't beat off while I'm watching the porn.
Just like again, it's you told me this, and I took that information in and went.
It's still weird to me.
Okay. Like, now that you say it again, my brain's like, yeah.
Are you a serial killer? like what?
Do you eat cereal in one bowl and milk in the?
I was. You know what? The craziest part about that is I would think that you would be more of a serial killer than me because you're acting on instant
gratification.
Thank you. So you gotta work right then and there. At least I can store the shit and beat off in the shower. Y'all niggas gotta get that shit right now.
But hold on. But the thing is, I'm thinking about how does he watch it? Like, so you're like.
That's on picture. Like
no.
He's on the phone.
Well,
like a hard
you know what?
Get it.
But I think
yeah.
No.
I remember that shit for later.
Pause.
And I think part of it is I give people bits and bits of like information. So like I don't watch porn with a sound, and I don't watch a whole porn. Like I get to a point, I'm like, okay, fuck out of here. I don't want to choke this bitch or spit in her mouth. So then I go to the next porn. And then like it's like
I'm done. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Wait. No, it's not about me being wrong, but I got a question. How old are you?
28.
Okay. So the problem with this is you're 28, you're what?
27.
You're what?
25.
You're what?
28.
I'm 43. So the way that we look at porn is different.
We know that, bro.
Yeah.
So we literally
the crazy part is, if you know that, then why do you not take in consideration that I'm not in the same generation of porn watchers that you are?
I think all this.
Could it be that if you're in your 40s, you gotta watch the porn now, but your penis is not gonna wake up until you're in the shower later?
That's fair, but no,
not
for me. That's fair, but not for me.
You know what's the funny part?
I think it's I have almost 2 decades of porn watching on you, so the way that I digest porn is different than how you digest porn.
You know what's so funny? You literally forgot I started this whole segment with when you were younger. It's different how y'all took it in than how we did.
No, it's not funny for me. It's funny for you. You don't remember that because the way that I
nigga, how can we remember something we didn't experience?
Exactly. So at the end of the day, to be like, yo, are you a serial killer or to look at it differently is to be like, you understand it from the aspect that I understand it.
Touche.
You don't.
Okay, fair
Touche.
enough.
We're just gonna leave it at that. I forgot there was Hennessy involved. I was like, I get it.
And I think that's the other thing. And I think like that's the other thing. Like you will quickly take it and blame it on something else, as opposed to acknowledging the fact that you don't understand what I understand.
I mean,
I'm gonna be real with you. This got deeply philosophical.
Yeah,
because it is. It is. Everything in life is deeper than what's on the surface.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
aware of that, but like this conversation fueled by Hennessy about our porn watching habits.
And you know what the biggest problem is? Y'all should know me and know that it ain't never about the drink. It's just about a different perspective.
Oh no,
It's
I
always about a different perspective.
didn't think it was that. It was just our willingness to be like, Tell me more.
Yeah, no, that's your perspective.
But
we have different perspectives.
He like, yo, I think this nigga got dead bodies in his trunk. Like,
he's talking about porn like he started back in the day with like a reel to reel with the projector, and it's like tick 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 tick.
But to your point, you ever watch porn on the VHS? No, exactly. Yeah. But I have,
and I have too.
Yeah, but your uncle's porn don't count.
What is up with these uncles, bro?
He's so jealous of anybody with an uncle.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I think like the biggest thing is the problem. Minus Hero. When you have a conversation with comedians, comedians always look for the punchline, but they don't ever look for the meat and potatoes of the joke. The reality of it is, I have a decade and a half on y'all. So when I say something about the way that I look at it, y'all not gonna relate to it. So what y'all gonna look for is the punchline in it. So, okay, I say this, that, and the third, and y'all like, this nigga might be a serial killer. No, it's like y'all never looked at it. No, it may not have been real to real, but the reality of it is, you never looked at porn on the VHS.
It was different. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know how this nigga got a VHS.
Don't ask.
In Haiti, like, it was a little different.
Yeah, because I think this nigga is younger than you.
Hold on, wait. Let's pause real quick. This is the funny part. I've been born and raised in America.
Yeah, no.
Hold on, wait. This nigga was born in Haiti, and he's laughing. That's what's wrong with niggas. This nigga, he was like, and I'm like.
That's why I was like, minus this nigga.
Yeah, because he's laughing like, this is what happened in the late 90s with us. When Haitian kid got, there's no togetherness. He's like, and I went like this. He was like.
He's still trying to figure out what the fuck VHS is.
Oh, no.
Don't come for me, man. I had VHS.
Haitian people know.
Listen.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Oh, yeah, y'all sales.
That too. But Haitian people know. Because you'll have that one family member. If you come from a third world country, the family member will hit you up asking about the new shit that you don't have.
Really?
I'll have a cousin like, hey, cuz, what's up? And you're like, what's up?
What you want, nigga?
Nah, I'm good, man. We good. How's your family? They good.
Can I get the iPhone 11?
It's like, nigga. No.
It's easy money.
You know how they talk to you? You know how they talk to you? You know, like back in the day, you'll talk to a girl late night, and she was like, what's your favorite color? Square. So what you wearing right now? Like that. Like they're just getting to the point.
I want no one to miss.
That's not a joke.
Hero said, easy money.
Niggas will be like that, bro. They'll be like, I want an iPhone.
Oh, you can't afford it? Can't get the old one.
And then they'll be like, oh, man.
10.
And then you'll be like, nah, man, times are hard. Nigga, you lying. It's like.
They really think money be growing on trees in America.
They really, you know what? I think part of that.
That's a good
I think part of the reason why is that when people go back to their native country, they're flexed out. They're wearing the good robe. They go shopping before they go there. So when people see them, they're like, oh, okay. That makes sense. I'm trying to flex check you.
Like when I found out Trump was gonna be a president, like I was happy to be like semi-fat, because like if we was gonna be shipped back to Africa, like that's a sign of wealth. You know what I mean? So I would have been middle class. Like I'm poor in America, but bitch, I'm middle class in Africa. Like,
but then again, you got to keep up that look.
You would have been jumped.
You feel me? Because
the only way I would not have been able to keep up with that look is if I was in one of the village with the flies in the eyes.
No, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Listen, if you're fat, they assume you got money because you is not eating on no dirt to get that fat.
Period. They would have looked at me like, hey, we don't know how his money comes.
His
legs is kind of skinny.
Who is this
stomach
nigga?
Is fat.
That's
like,
why
who is that nigga?
I'm not going back to
Who is that nigga? I think he is like, he is just like us. Nigga, his stomach is fat, but the rest of him.
That low-key sounds Asian as fuck.
Yeah, it might be. I'm not good at that.
I don't mean to get all woke, but like black people need to get back to Africa so bad.
Let's talk about that.
Niggas know nothing about Africa. It's so crazy.
Did you see how I was hitting on the woke nigga? Yo, this nigga talking your language.
Hero.
I was trying to see where this is going.
Hero's not gonna say a fucking word. I just started following you on Instagram, and I'm looking, and I'm like, well, this nigga woke.
Yeah. Nigga got sleep deprivation woke. We're just joking. And you know what's the funny part? For the people that know, like, Chris is the architectural light-skinned dude where he is so... He was trying to do a podcast, right? We're vibing and chilling. And, like, it was not what I expected. This nigga got so woke, I was uncomfortable. Like, no, real shit. Like, he was so woke, he was like, yeah, for our safety, I won't drop this. He edited it and was like, nah, we can't do this. That's how woke he is. No, I'm not joking. He's very woke.
I'm not finna.
You want
Florida? I'm not finna hit like a punchline.
Yeah.
I think like that's important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think you have to have someone within your circle that looks at shit differently than you. Mm-hmm. You know, I always tell people. I always joked about the Illuminati. Mm-hmm. Like, how the fuck is this a secret organization but Pookie?
Know about it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was one of those things wherein that was the premise of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pookie knows about it, but you don't trust Pookie. Mm-hmm. Like when you look at American history, who the motherfuckers that get abducted by UFOs?
White people.
Crazy ones.
Rednecks.
Yeah.
Them too.
Like they even highlighted that shit in Independence Day. Redneck. So it's easy to not believe these motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. And so I think like you need that person. Like,
so hold on. You're gonna say black people need to go back to Africa. I know you're saying that because we're joking.
No.
And you're like, so what is your viewpoint? What is it that you were gonna say?
Well, the reason why I said that is because like that's like a joke that everybody like uses, right? But the reality is when you go. So recently, I guess that's 2 years, going on 2 years ago now. Me and my wife, we went to Senegal.
What's up?
Yeah, and
awesome.
we ended up. So my mom runs a nonprofit organization, and she goes back all the time. So this is my first time going with my wife.
How long was the flight?
I think it was. Damn, I want to say it was like 13 hours or something like that. Something like that.
Did you go to Dakar, or did you like go to like one of the smaller cities?
No. So we stayed in Dakar. Okay. Right. So what ended up happening was
right. We're just like
we flew.
I was like,
geography.
Yo,
so
it didn't connect until you was like, yeah, no. So we went into the car and I was.
Who is this guy?
So we flew to Morocco, and then you fly from Morocco to Dakar, right? And long story short, me and my wife, while we were there, we went and looked at land. Okay. And we know a few people there, so that we have people that we trust. So when we came back, we were actually able to send money and purchase some land in Senegal.
Okay.
But what was amazing in Senegal?
Let's clap it up for this brother. All right, let's.
No, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
You know what's dope?
Way easier than Haiti, though.
He brought land, but doper thing is he brought it in the motherland. That's dope.
No.
Salute you, bro. We salute you.
And real shit. Like it goes to your point. Like we had the conversation about. Did we have the conversation? I think we had the conversation about the motherfucker that I knew who was so woke, but he still had the slave name. Mm-hmm. Like to me, that's beyond that. Like, bitch, like, I'm not telling you to go back to Africa. Not only am I telling you that, but bitch, I bought land in Africa. Like,
So what ended up happening while we were there was, like, I know through my mother, having gone back and forth, that like there are many parts of Africa that are nothing like what we've been told.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when you get there and see it, you're like, oh, like there are parts of Senegal that make parts of Florida look like a third world country.
Period.
Like the
it's
capital of Rwanda
beautiful.
is like considered the most cleanest capital in the world.
Yep, absolutely.
They clean the gutters like 3 times a day.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Just
like
all day.
And I mean like you're driving around and it's so weird how like the sort of systemic racism is burned into our brains as well. Like you look on television and you see that in the capital cities in Africa, people are driving Mercedes-Benzes and BMWs or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you get there and you see the Mercedes dealerships and you go, oh, that's right. For them to have those cars, there would have to be modern Mercedes-Benz dealerships. It's such a simple concept. But like when you see it in your face and you're driving down the street and it's like, brand new Range Rovers all over the place, brand new Benzes all over the place. You see Maseratis every once in a while, and it's like, oh, everything that's been burned into my brain is complete bullshit.
So hold on. So you saw it in Senegal, right?
Yeah.
Have you been to Nigeria?
I've not been to Nigeria. I want to go to Lagos because that's supposed to be one of the most incredible places.
So, to your point, like people forget that Africa is realistically the biggest continent.
Yes, by far.
Arguably,
it's
based
gigantic.
upon the narrative that you're pushing, one of the biggest. So when you say it that way, that's the biggest thing that people don't take away from it. Like, so it is about the narrative. So when you think about it, motherfuckers that don't know no better look at the 35 cent a day commercials and like, yo, they struggling over there. Why the fuck would I want to go back to Africa? So it's about the narrative that you push. No, you don't want to go back to Africa. Bitch, it's worse over there than it is over here. You got the apartheid, and maybe it's been abolished.
Boko
maybe
Haram,
it hasn't.
all that other shit we don't know.
You know
about.
what I'm saying? So the reality of it is, like, again, for you to say, okay, not only have I gone, but I purchased land is major.
And the thing I realized about we underestimate as like black men how like there's so much we see because you really think about it like beauty, all that like beauty. Most of the magazines you'll see, this nigga's laughing.
Yeah, I'm laughing too.
I'm like waiting. For
Like I'm laughing on the inside because I know you fuck with white bitches. But go ahead.
I fuck with them all.
That's like 10% why I laughed.
I fuck with them all.
You don't buy the magazines.
No, never that. I watch the
Carmen Electra. Ooh.
She's dark white. Carmen Electra is dark white.
No.
She's dark white. She's dark. Look up Carmen Electra ethnicity, please.
Carmen Electra got left in the oven a little too long, but that ain't dark.
Oh shit, my phone's dead.
You serious?
Yes.
Oh my god! How this nigga phone got I'm getting my phone.
It's been just a stage name.
It's been alive this whole time.
Fuck this.
Yo,
You really get up just to show a picture of Carmen Electra?
No. I'm looking up her ethnicity. But you know what I hate? I'm trying to have a heartfelt comment and an observation, and niggas were like,
We know you, nigga.
you know what
I think that what we need is a lot more realism.
Yeah.
No,
Like
but
don't sell me like Oprah talking about balance and then busting her ass. Like, you know?
That was hilarious. The ghost of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Kobe
Like,
said,
bitch, yeah. Like, bitch, we don't believe you.
no, but it's not even that. I'm just saying, hold on, wait. I love all women, all right? Like R. Kelly said, I love all women.
Yeah. No,
When you say teenage
I
girl,
like-
how old do you mean?
That's a problem.
Since this is the last show, I like fucking with you about that. Like I like fucking with Azam about that one episode we had about certain people that he may or may not know in the porn industry.
Fair enough. I can allow that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's her,
Damn.
what's her heritage?
So we gonna be
He's on
silent while you
Wikipedia.
strolling through
I
your
thought you were
fucking...
gonna still talk, bro. You
No,
literally,
nigga, you strolling through your Pornhub.
she's Wikipedia. This nigga got me looking like.
What's her heritage? What's her heritage?
She's literally dark white, bro.
What's her
literally.
heritage?
It was
What's
like
her heritage?
Dutch. Whole bunch.
Oh, you talking about-
That's zero. That's white.
She
talking about Carmen?
tans. She tans.
We still talking
Any
about
white
Carmen?
person
Yes.
can be.
He's talking about Carmen Electra. He went out of his way
First
to
off,
look her
bitch,
up. She's white.
it don't really matter. Thank you. If you
That is her state. Carmen.
Do you know how much
you
your
know what?
comment had to be true for him to be this hurt by it that he's looking shit up trying to prove
You
a
know
point?
what's the fucked up part? I didn't realize her name wasn't Carmen Electra.
I told you it was a stage name.
I didn't know. I thought he was joking. I thought he.
Hey, this show is brought to you by Hennessy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you.
The fuck?
She's
You think
Dutch.
Fergie's real name is Fergie?
Absolutely. I don't know. I don't even care.
He was like, I don't know.
Fergie kind of scares me, bro. I don't.
Why does
Yeah.
scare you?
I remember I was watching VH1 and during a show she couldn't use the restroom. She just pissed herself, and that literally was like.
man.
Yeah.
That was like, yo.
That's a whole level. That's
Yeah.
a whole different level of gangster.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, I love music so much. I'm gonna piss on the stage.
You know what's my biggest nightmare performing? It's like I have the shits. Like that's my biggest fear. Like you get that rumble, like ooh.
I don't know.
That's my biggest fear.
I don't know. I think
That's a motivator, bro.
I think it depends on how much your asshole loves you.
No, bro.
Also true. But
No.
that's a motivator.
Because you gotta understand, if you have this shit, you talk different. But if
Way
you're doing
different.
jokes, so when you're doing jokes and you gotta,
Yeah, no way.
and so I said, and then you're like, you're looking at the audience looking at you. Hey, that's my time, y'all. Y'all be good.
You don't hit high pitches and you don't worry about your cadence. That shit is all fast.
You know? And then after a while, niggas like, yeah, you're not booked here ever again.
But no, niggas was talking so fast. Like we didn't get the laugh off of that joke before that nigga went into the next joke.
But what
Finish your point about your love of white women, though.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about this.
You know what's so funny? Because I'm a good friend of Hero, I ain't gonna talk crazy.
No, I love Hero for that one.
No. Hero's laughing because he know I was about to hit him with a finisher, but I ain't gonna do that. You my homie.
No, finish him.
No.
It's my last show.
I can't. It's that crazy. I can't.
That
I
wild.
can't. Is that?
Oh, this nigga.
You gonna make a Rick Ross joke or something like that?
No. The only thing you can say about Hero that's a finisher is Hero fucked the white bitch. No. That was not dark, light white or dark white.
I was in second grade and she gave me head.
Yeah, I was here.
Wait. I'm sorry. Time out. What?
No. Let's.
Yeah.
No. It's from an episode of that. No.
Yes. No. That's dark and
It's from
man was sexually abused as a child. Yes.
Yeah, this nigga was R. Kelly before R. Kelly. Listen.
You shouldn't be talking. You should not be talking.
Wait, hold on. Yes, I can.
Somebody molested.
We'll talk about the meme. You know what? We'll stop because the more we talk, the more we're talking about past episodes, and we got to catch him up on.
Okay.
So no, but this is what this is what literally saying. Everywhere you go, like it's like the white race is superior. What's up?
Nobody heard my joke. I said somebody molested Mr. Popo, and nobody.
Yo.
Look at Phil.
I got it. Robert Baxter on Dragon Ball Z. No, you don't know about Dragon Ball Z. So
no, bitch, because I'm an adult.
He wants you to get the joke.
That's why I'm showing you the joke. And this nigga called me a bitch for because I'm helping him out.
This is one of those moments where y'all was earlier like, oh, young niggas don't understand old niggas joke. Old niggas don't understand young niggas joke.
Yeah, that nigga.
All right, bitch, cut the camera.
You know, Hero looked like the black children on the watermelon sodas from back then.
Ah, man.
Oh, fuck.
That's the best.
That made it work.
It's funny because they took off the little black girl.
She was like,
I don't know why, but when you said the watermelon soda, like instantly, my mind projected that picture, and I was like, yo, that was worse than actually looking. Wow. Yeah, I bought one of those, but
yeah, for real, them shit were busting. I didn't like them as I was older.
Nothing was busting without ice, but that shit was. You put that bitch on some ice, it was cool.
But no, like when I was saying, when you look at like media movies, it's always showing like white this, white that. If you have a black movie, you got to have a white savior. You know what I'm saying? Most movies are like that. Like for instance, like Black Panther. Yeah, all of them people could.
Did we have the conversation about my beef with Black Panther?
No.
What's your beef with
Can we have it?
You know what I will say about Black Panther right fucking now?
Yeah.
Black Panther cannot fight against black people.
He can't.
He cannot.
He was probably the least.
He can't fight against what?
Black people. He really can't.
I'm going to hold that. Go ahead, sir.
All right. So this.
No. I'm explaining to you because I hear you, but I want to hear his point, and then we battle those two against each other.
Here's the real lesson from Black Panther. If you take because black people's reaction was, oh my God, we got a black superhero, and that was it. That's as far as people thought about it, right?
Right.
If you really sit back and watch the movie, like objectively, Killmonger is
a nigga.
On the side of black people, actually.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because,
the nigga.
Yes.
Yeah. So what he was actually trying to do was he wanted to spread the weapons and power that black people had to black people around the world so they could defend themselves, right?
The nigga.
Yeah. Yes. Now,
no, the Negro.
No.
What
I'm
actually-
going to explain why I keep saying the nigga.
So what actually happened was the establishment of the black society, Wakanda, right, did everything in their power to prevent him from doing that, right? So really what that movie was about was, hey, black man, not only can you not rise up, most importantly, your community will make sure that you never can do so.
That's factual.
It's really the story of Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And everyone who gets,
Bars.
the one who gets celebrated is
Black
the
Panther.
traitor who killed Malcolm X.
But not only that, but he borrowed some of Killmonger's views Because he was like, oh, you know what? I was fucked up. Maybe we should help the resources. But he helped everyone. He didn't just help the targeted people.
So to your point, I've always, not always, that's a lie. But at a certain point in my life, I came to the conclusion that if you feel as though being black, you are the descendants of kings, why would you fight for equality? So at the end of the day, you go to England, I guarantee you, the fucking queen don't want to be equal to the motherfuckers underneath her.
Run into all my theories. Okay.
So the reality of it is, the reason I kept saying, when you say Killmonger, I said the nigga, is because when you are trained to a certain point, you don't look at Killmonger as the hero. You look at him, even with the powerful line of, I'd rather die like my ancestors than to live in the same society that you live in. And yeah, I'm paraphrasing it. The reality of it is, his point was legitimate. Like, when it's all said and done, I don't want to live like you niggas. Because you niggas is not real. Yeah. Like, so even when you get down to the Black Panther, I don't want to give them my shit, but if I give them my shit, let's give it under an ordinance that's not real to what it is that we're providing. And even bigger to your point, like, motherfuckers don't realize, like I said it earlier, like, people will argue, Africa is one of. No, Africa is the biggest continent on this earth that we know of.
But not only in size, but in resources.
You can't have this show, because of how it's being recorded, without Africa. Wakanda is real in the sense of what it represented, because Wakanda represented technology and this, that, and the third that was far beyond the rest of the world. But the reality of it is, we can't give Africa that, because now we giving you niggas credits.
Well, let me give you how you ran into my other theory. The whole like equality conversation.
Yeah.
I have this theory that, you ever play like, I don't know, you ever play tug of war with multiple ropes? You ever seen when they do that?
No.
Okay.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's real woke nigga shit.
No.
We only play with
I'm
one
mad
rope.
Hero's so quiet. Are you charging up? Okay.
Yeah, no, that nigga's really charging up.
Hit us.
So you're like, I'm gonna take this shit to work on Monday.
It's the same thing as a game of tug of war, right? You have the area in the center, right? Yeah. Where sort of balance is, right?
Right.
And if both sides are equally as strong, the center of the rope is going to stay in that balanced area, right? So if you look at the world as a 5 or 6 pointed tug of war game, where they're almost like there's like a ring in the center and all these ropes are attached to it, right? And white people over here pulling for white people. Hispanic people are over here pulling for Hispanic people. Asian people are over here pulling for Asian people, right? And black people over here pulling for black people. If everybody was at their point, pulling their hardest for their community.
It's going to rip off.
Well, yeah, but
it
would move. Everything would stay balanced.
Everything would not balanced.
Everything would be fair, right? The problem is that everybody's pulling for their community, and black people are trying to reach equality. Black people are walking towards the center. And because black people are walking towards the center, it throws the balance of the entire thing off. The reality is we don't need white people to fight for us. We just need to fight for ourselves, and it'll bring everything back to balance.
Period.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
I'm never mad.
But that's real shit.
I don't get mad at white supremacists. I don't get mad at any, because it's like they should be fighting for theirs.
Yes, I agree with that.
And if we all fought for ours, everything would balance out.
Because I've always said, like...
But hold on. The thing is about the white supremacist thing is...
Let him finish. I want to hear this.
No, I just said no, but he was going to finish.
I'm saying for the white supremacist, we wouldn't mind, okay, you could believe all that shit, but it's to the degree, like, you have the power to enact the thought you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, like, for white supremacists, J. Edgar Hoover stopped certain shit that he wasn't feeling.
You know what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I like the face that you made because it's on camera, but the reality of it is, one of the most hated motherfuckers in America is Hitler. But one of the best quotes from Hitler was, if niggas knew their power, shit would be different. Which then piggybacks on what you were stating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the reality. We search for something that we shouldn't search for. Mm-hmm. one of the main things that was said was the worst thing that it was ever done to black society was segregation. We should have never mixed. If we integration, segregation, all the same.
Well, the two opposite things.
Integration was the integration.
He's like black and white, same thing.
No, that's not what happened.
Keep going. Though.
So we done? We done?
No, we
so
good.
integration was the mix of white and black.
Yeah.
Segregation was the separation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if we had never integrated or had we not allowed, had we kept to segregation, we would have been in a better place.
That's why I always say that I think.
So, like, at the end of the day, that's the thing of understanding. Even in a situation like this, in circumstances like this, when I said what I said, you knew what the fuck I meant.
Yeah, no.
But as it pertains to comedians, we'll go for the punchline. So the reality of you understood that I meant, like, had we not had segregation and not allowed integration, we would have been better. Because the reality of it is, when you think about the lack of segregation or integration, however you want to see it, we had Black Wall Street. We had thriving portions of Black America before we decided to, we want to be equal to these motherfuckers who were never going to see us as equals.
But the problem is, that's why I'm saying, for like with white supremacists or white pride, it coincides of we can't let these other groups thrive.
Yeah, that's
but to his point, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's how we should be looking at it. Like, we can't let no other race thrive above us.
Well, here's where I think it's weird, right? I don't think, because one thing that white supremacy has done is actively gone after to try and sabotage black communities. Yeah. And I'm not saying that as black people we need to hate anybody else, we need to try and sabotage anybody else. We just need to focus on getting what we need to be doing for ourselves. And as long as we do that to the best of our abilities, then, like I said, in that 5-point tug of war, it balances everything out. Right. So one of the things that I think that needs to happen, and why I personally think it's so important that black people do go back to Africa, I have this weird, unique perspective that I think maybe some of y'all share. I'm half Jamaican and half African American. So I live in both experiences. So one of the things that I notice is how a lot of times immigrant communities shit on African Americans and they think they're better than African Americans, right?
Yeah.
African Americans oftentimes shit on immigrant communities.
Not often.
Now, here's what happens.
All the time.
The reason, all the time.
All the time.
So the reason why immigrant black communities tend to do better than African Americans is because they come here with this group mentality.
Unity.
Exactly. And number two is they come from the perspective of, I'm trying to figure out how to turn this into a joke, but I have this theory that America is the white man's Dubai, right? If you look at the founding of America, what America was in England. No,
I saw him move.
No, the sort of like wild white people that wanted to get out of England and its laws. I mean, they talk about religion and all that other stuff, but it was people that didn't want to follow the religious Catholic establishment to, bow down to the Queen. They came here and said, we're going to leave all of that to go somewhere, and we're going to create a place where we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want, and nobody's going to do a damn thing about it. Right. And that is how America has functioned, right?
Talking about the Pilgrims?
Now,
Pilgrims? Talking about the Pilgrims?
Yeah, I mean,
talking about the Pilgrims?
Yes,
motherfuckers that bought smallpox on blankets. Okay.
Yeah, I understand all that, but I'm just saying, like, philosophically, like,
no,
this
I'm
was them creating their place where they can do whatever this is the white man's Wakanda, right? They can do whatever they want to do, right? Now, for me, instead of being mad about that, which of course, I mean, there's a lot of history to be mad about, the reality is that as African Americans, what we don't realize, because we're trapped in their Dubai as the slave class, what we don't realize is, as African Americans, we have more wealth than the bottom, whatever the number is, huge amounts of countries all over the world. And why I think it's so important that black people experience going back to Africa is it becomes very clear very quickly, I can save up a couple $100,000 here in the United States and move and have a completely different scale of life, right? Yeah. So I think if we exercise that, because one of the things that I think immigrant communities are really, really good at is they don't get caught up in the hype of, like I said, the equality conversation. They come here and they go, this is the land of milk and honey and opportunity. I'm going to make as much money as I can possibly make here. I don't care about the politics. I don't care about whatever. I'm here to make money, and I'm going to send the money back home. Mm-hmm. And because that's their focus and their mission, and they don't get caught up in the all kind of games that as African Americans we get caught up in because we feel like we don't have any other option. We don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
So we're emotionally attached to all of this stuff that's going on. They're focused on making sure that their children get an education. They're focused on making sure they start businesses. Mm-hmm. They're focused. Mm-hmm. And I think that as African Americans, if we can all make that journey to Africa and break that sort of spell, you can come back with a certain level of focus.
You said something I thought about.
I want to come back on what Chris said real
Yeah,
quick.
I
I
would
feel like
also
I have
like
to
to
say
as well.
this.
Yeah,
But I always feel like, maybe because I'm Haitian, I came from, I was born in Haiti, came here as a kid, and I've always been raised with the whole, Haitian Revolution and that story right back in my head. I never understood the American civil rights movement in the sense of, okay, you had your own community. Granted, it was forced upon you. You had to be in your own whatever segregation. But you had your community, you had your own schools, you had your own restaurants, you had your own all that. And then you rather suffer through crackers spitting in your drinks. They giving you the worst education, giving you the worst books for the hopes of sitting next to them. I never understood that, but I always believed that white supremacy. I think the biggest power of white supremacy is that black people believe in it. Because I don't personally, I don't care about white supremacy amongst white people. Like, I would be wrong to fault you for believing that whatever you are is the best. Whatever, whether you're white, whatever. I don't care about white supremacy amongst white people. They're not wrong. It's natural selection, whatever. They're not wrong for believing that. I think the problem with white supremacy is that black people believe it, and it's turned into this sort of almost like invisible God. That
real quick, it's not invisible. It's black people have been praying to white Jesus all this time, and that's where that comes from. That's my
next point. Because even what you say about going back to Africa or going back to any majority black country, whether it's Haiti, Jamaica, Brazil, whatever. Even there, white supremacy is a huge thing. Like you said, with white gods or bleaching. Bleaching is a huge thing in Africa and in Haiti, and it's like. I want to be in a place where black people don't believe in this and making white people this god of like everything they say and do has such this, because of course it has an impact on us, but also I don't want black people to believe in this whole how should I say this inferiority complex of I can only go so far because white people let me. I can only go so far because white people let me. I can only go this far because white people let me. Because I think that's the power of white supremacy. I think if we were to get to a place mentally where we can go, okay, white people do their thing, fair enough, but we need to get into a place where we're able to be strong enough to be like, okay, we're going to do what the fuck we want to do regardless of what's trying to hold us back. And I think a lot of it is part of, like what you said before, with the concept of beauty. I don't care about the European concept of beauty in fucking France. Why the fuck do I care? It's France. That's fair enough. White people are the standard of beauty. But the fact that if I go to Haiti and the most beautiful woman would still be a lady with straight hair and light skin and blue eyes, that's fucked up. I think it's an issue if I go to Africa and I go to like South Africa, and the beauty in the mark of a beautiful woman in a lot of places will still be same thing on white women. I think that's where white supremacy, I think that's where it holds us back, and it leads to a place where black people, like you said with Killmonger and Black Panther, where even as a black person, you're like, okay, white people go for themselves. They stay on code like this. At the end of the day, white people will stick for white people. Same thing with Hispanics, of course, light Hispanics. Same thing with Asians, whatever. But black people in this thing where we don't automatically go for black people in a lot of cases where it's like, well, what do you do? What's the situation? Blah, blah, blah. We don't automatically go into that code like white people do. So I think, again, back to just how we raise our kids, how all that, I think if we would stop believing this ghost of white supremacy, whatever it's done in the past, it's done what's done in the past. But moving forward, if we're going to come together with people and start believing in ourselves and start really championing just black beauty, black excellence, black culture, black whatever it is, I think a lot of it is part of it is taking off that shackle of white supremacy and whiteness and white being a privilege. I think last point I'm gonna make. I think one thing I've really has been a linchpin as a Haitian is how French is a lauded country in Haiti, a lauded language in Haiti, where in Haiti the sign of education, the sign of wealth, the sign of privilege is speaking French, even though the majority of the country don't have a
literacy rate to actually
a great,
speak French.
I won't say speaking, but they can speak it basically. But it's not. It's nothing like Creole, where Creole even now is considered a second language, the language of the poor, language of the underclass, whatever. I think if we can get to a place where we stop, first of all, stop calling Creole Creole, because no one's a fucking Creole. You're not a Frenchman that was born in the Caribbean. You're a fucking African that was born in the Caribbean. If anything, call it Haitian. The French call their language French. They don't call it Franken Latin. They don't call it Iberian Latin. They call it French, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian, what the fuck. Wherever that language is, that's what they call it. I think if Haitians can get to a place, I think that would be a great... I think if I can get that place in my lifetime where Haitians go, hey, this is our language, we've made this language, we built this language, I think that would be one, again, specifically to Haiti, of like just taking off that ghost of white supremacy.
You know what I think it is? Like when you said the whole circle thing, so you got to understand there's different races pulling in that circle, but there's other people that's pulling that rope that want to be a part of that other line of rope that's being pulled on. So you think about it. So there'll be like the black people pulling the rope, but there'll be that black person that's willing to pull the rope on the other side because they associate more to the white culture, more to the Asian culture, more to the white culture. But you'll also have another person from the other side of the rope that will deliberately go to the other side to fuck shit up so that the other side can pull and have more access to pull further out because one side is not as strong as the other side. So that's one thing I did think about. You know what I'm saying?
And I think, like, to his point, I think the most dominant thing as an African American that you said was the word ghost. Because I think sometimes when you introduce something into the water, it may not be directly in the water any longer, but the remnants of it, you still deal with it. And so as an African American, the one thing that I can say that we dealt with as it pertains to immigrants was we treated immigrants like a punchline, never really realizing what was the meat and potatoes of what we thought was a joke. So the reality, I think it was my aunt that once said to me, like, yo, you have to look at how they do things. Whether it was Haitians, whether it was Jamaicans, whether it was Guatemalans, yo, want to come over, get to the point where they can buy a house, and then we joke about 6 and 7 and 8 of these motherfuckers in this house, but what they do is you bring these 8 over, you're the established motherfucker, and then once they come over, then they branch out once they get established, and this pod now becomes that pod, and now becomes that pod, and now becomes that pod, now becomes that pod. But we can't fucking live in the same fucking city as black people and agree upon the same thing because we'll deal with half of us believing in the ghost of white supremacy, and then the other half like, yo, that shit don't matter. What is it that you're gonna do? So even now, the joke is woke. What the fuck are you woke? What the fuck are you woke about? And the reality of it is, when you understand what it is on a bigger scale, you can deal with it on a bigger scale. I'm not woke by the definition or even by the punchline. It's just certain things that I understand. If you feel as though you're the descendants of kings and queens, why would you want to be equal to peasants? Like, none of that to me makes sense. When you think about the idea, peasants, you come to a country that was not your country. When you come to a country and you give credit to a fucking imbecile, Christopher Columbus, because he was not the smartest man in the world, and you give him credit of discovering a place that you would acknowledge that he came to and found other people. How the fuck do you discover something where there's other people there? You come to my house, you're not going to discover my house. Why? Because we're already in there. But we give him credit for that. A whole fucking holiday. And the sad part is, we overlook the fact that this motherfucker was on a voyage to find out whether or not the earth was round or flat. Then we don't take in consideration of what he did when he got to the Caribbean, because that's the part we forget. He didn't get to America first. He got to the Caribbean. He fucked up the Caribbeans before he came to America. Oh, wait a minute. No, because we give Ponce de Leon credit for finding Florida.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So a lot of the shit is out there. So it is the ghost of whatever. Oh, a white man ain't gonna let you do this. The white man ain't gonna let you do that. So we overlook Black Wall Street.
You said something I thought about. Now this is the weird thing because black people, we like when you look at the meat, black people be like, we all came from kings and queens. We all couldn't have, you know what I'm saying? We all couldn't have.
No, we all.
So
That's
there's
why
another.
I say the belief.
Oh yeah, and there's another thing. They'll say we're the original Hebrews. Black Egyptians were like the first Egyptians were black. Then you can say, okay, we all know Egyptians had Hebrews and slaves.
Well, I
black
mean, that
people
goes back. That
definitely
goes
kept
back
black
to
people as
modern
slaves.
day
You know what I'm saying?
slavery.
You know what I'm
like
saying?
the
So-
reality of it was, we'll always say white people got on the ship, came over, and got Africans.
Yeah, you know
and
what I'm
we'll
saying?
never acknowledge that Africans was also enslaving Africans.
I feel like some people want to be uplifted so bad that they overlook certain stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they just want to be uplifted, and it's like,
Well, here's the history behind that, right?
What's up?
So prior to Europeans going to Africa and doing everything that they did, right? Slavery in Africa was based on normally wars, right? So it's, people would go to war,
of
and
war.
the losing side of the war would
Yeah.
become prisoners of war. They would become slaves. Number one, it was a circumstantial thing. Like, you lost this war, now you are slaves for X amount of time, and then once you've done this for X amount of time, then you were set free. Is normally how that worked.
Or they become
Paid
part of
your
the tribe.
debt to society.
Exactly.
Or they become part of the tribe.
Yeah, you become a part of the
eventually.
tribe, right? What was invented when the Europeans came to Africa was race-based slavery and the idea that these brown black people are subhuman, therefore we can do anything to them, which opened up a window to a completely different level of cruelty
Yeah.
because
Bullshit.
you're seen as not being a human being.
Yeah.
Right? So that piece is a fundamental difference.
Yeah.
That is undeniable, and it's based on a level of wickedness that really hadn't been displayed before. And one of the things that I experienced when I was there was we went to Goree Island.
Yeah.
And Goree Island is one of the places. So Goree Island is I guess that would be the westernmost point on the entire continent of Africa. It's like Senegal is like right on like the tip there. Then Goree Island is right off the shore, right? Goree Island was one of the few places where slaves were sent and then processed. So when you walk in, they show you like, all right, so on this left side, this is the room where they kept all the men.
is that where
between
Obama went on TV, national TV?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the door of no return.
Yep, the door of no
Yeah.
return, exactly.
Yikes.
So this is where we keep the men between this age and this age. This is where we keep the men between this age and this age. This is where we keep the women. This is where there's a tiny, like literally you couldn't stand up straight room where they lock the runaways in, where literally what they would do to punish you is they caught you, they would put you in this room, they'd close the door, and they wouldn't open the door for 7 days. Right? So you would get no food, you would get no water, you wouldn't be able to stand up straight. You'd basically be in the fetal position on the floor for 7 days. And then after that, they would put you back into rotation with everyone else. Then there's the room where they kept the babies. And what they showed you is they had these baskets, right, that kind of stack into each other like egg crates. So what they would do is it'd be a room, and the babies would be in baskets stacked on top of each other, and they would take the basket out, you feed it, put it back in the stack, right? One of the things that I've never experienced before, and it kind of changed how I view life, was I'm a person who loves the water. Well, that's one of the very white things about me. I love swimming, I love fishing, I love hunting, I love everything about being in the water. And when we went to Goree Island, I remember being on the boat, and as we got closer to the island, I started to get scared. And that has never happened to me before in my life.
So you felt like you felt another.
What I felt, and it was very clear, and this is what's weird, I felt that my ancestors were warning me about this place. And it was not
real.
Yeah, it was in a very, very real way. Not like, oh, I feel uncomfortable and I am attributing that to this. Yeah. Like, I was on the boat and I looked at my mother and I said that there are sharks here that eat human beings.
Period.
Right? Like, as something that I was told. Not like, again, I'm uncomfortable and I'm scared, so I'm thinking my ancestors...
You're trying to reason your fear as to like something logical, like, okay, there's sharks here, whatever.
No, what I'm saying is I knew it. As someone who spends a lot of time in the ocean, Like, I knew it to be fact, right? And as we got closer and closer and closer, I felt this feeling of like, if I get in this water, I'll die. If this water touches me, I will die, right? And when we got to the reason why it was disturbing for me is because most people, my mom has done this trip, like she takes people, and most people have this emotional experience within the slave castle itself, right? Me, I had that experience in the water. And after going through the slave castle, when I came out, I walked up to the water's edge and I scooped some of the water up in my hand and I washed my face with it and instantly felt completely comfortable and safe. And to me, the conclusion that I came to, right, is that every African American has, you know how they say like ghosts and spirits are people who have unfinished business, who cannot pass on to the other side. I genuinely feel like every African American has an ancestor waiting on the shore in Africa that until you go back, cannot pass on to the other side. They're literally waiting for you.
This is the best episode
I'm not gonna fucking say nothing else.
Like, what? No.
Yeah, right? You know what I was thinking about? I was like, you know what? I don't like. I was literally thinking about like, you know what? We're comedians. Like, we can say a joke right there, but then I'm thinking about like, yo, that's deep. Because when you think about it, like every black artist go to Africa, they don't come back the same.
No,
Never.
you don't. You don't.
Kendrick Lamar, Richard Pryor, no one comes back. So do you feel like you changed coming back?
Absolutely. Completely. I mean, a completely different understanding of the world and how the world works. And I think the reason why I'm so passionate about, I think people need to go back, is that it's not optional, right? One of the things that I think people feel about going to Africa, and one of the things that like African Americans, I think part of the reason why they don't even think about it is there's a lot of shame involved in that whole process and what happened to us, right? Especially black men, right? However, when you think, what I experienced and how I felt about it was, it's really a hero's return. Damn. Because you were stolen from this place, put through this process that would kill almost anyone.
Millions.
Right? Brought to this place, put through hell, right? Where you're actively being hunted, essentially, within the society where you live. And despite 500 years of all of that, here I am standing on the shore where they never intended for me to come back, right? And I think that every black person not only owes it to themselves, but it's so much bigger than yourself. I think you owe it to your ancestors who survived that journey to put your feet on the ground on the other side and let them know that you can come back.
I'm about to say some ragged ass shit.
What?
Bitch, in my mind, I just booked my trip to Africa.
I was thinking, like before you said that, I was like, Papi Negro in Africa. I was like, yo, let's do this shit, yo.
Like it's real, like, and I think the benefit to you being a comedian is like we have the ability, because we need to tell a story and get people to see it. Like your visualization verbally, it's like, fuck, nigga, I want to wash my face. I want to wash my face in the water. Like, and it is that thing. And I think like the bad part as an African American is we've never really looked at shit the way that we should. Even in getting to the criticizing of the woke generation. Like, it's easier for us to believe what we're given as opposed to us searching for what is actually real. Like, oh, we're quick to tell you, oh, nigga, the hurricanes come the way they come because that's the ancestors fucking up America for the slave boats. But we don't take it no deeper than that. And to your point, and I'll speak for myself, the thought process was, what I've been fed about Africa is not good. So why the fuck would I want to go back there? What I've been fed to Africa is pot-bellied kids with flies in their eyes. Now when you progress and you learn to look for more knowledge, you realize that's not really Africa. That's parts of Africa. No more than there's ghettos in every city in America, but America is not that ghetto. Or every black community is not that ghetto. Right. So, you know, it is, wow.
I think, but on that note, we got to say one thing. There's woke, but there's some things we see that's like, it comes to a point where it's like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
Because, I mean, there's woke, like, understanding what happened, but there's some people that are just so, like...
Bullshit.
Like, oh, why you eating the white ice cream? Well, we got plenty of chocolate ice cream for you.
Nigga, don't put your black lips on that lily white ice cream.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that extreme, like, really? Yeah. Oh, why you got that white charger port? Well, you got a black charger port that could have longer durability and it's 6 foot long instead of the 3 foot white charger you use. And it's like...
Nigga, out of all the colors of cars you could get, you wanted to get white.
Yeah.
Like you can't see the
You know what I hate? Like, I literally got a white vehicle. I was with you, and then I was like, wait
but that
a minute.
wasn't a jab at you. That's to
You know
your
what I'm
point.
saying? Because it's just like, they're so extremes. Like, we could talk, like, it's so weird because, like, we know this. I feel like one thing about the travel to Africa that's so crazy, like, it's so, like, I wouldn't say off-putting that it's like it's seldomly traveled by black people because we don't know a lot of black people that went over there. You know people that went to the islands. You know people that had a fun time at Costa Rica. You know people that went here. Africa is so far away, so distant, so it's like, whoa.
I was going to say, I know more white people who have been to Africa.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it's always like, well, I went and I helped this village. And it always bothered me growing up. Mm-hmm. It drove me mad.
Yeah.
Like anytime I would meet someone who went on like a mission trip and they were like, I've been to Africa. I'm like, I've never been there. I have no idea about this. My mom and my mom's side, I'm half white, will tell me all about my grandfather and my grandmother's parents' immigration from Italy and Germany. My family are like, we know our roots, but we've never, except for my dad who did it in the Navy, stepped foot back on the continent we're from.
And you know how we're fucking up? Is one of the things that happens in the Jewish community is...
Oh, birthright.
Oh, wait,
absolutely.
Birthright, yeah.
It is your birthright.
Don't say that shit,
to
because
be
Jewish people
able...
take that shit real personal.
No. I'm saying this is where we're fucking...
Where's Chris Robinson?
Right.
Yo, he's no longer here.
I'm let you finish on some Kanye shit, but I seen Jewish people get offended by a compliment.
You know what's so funny? I know. You know what's so funny? You started the podcast like, these thoughts are not... This is the shit that'll do you in. All that goofy stuff we said about porn and other, this is what will do you in.
All right. Well, no. What I'm saying is this is where the Jewish community is brilliant because they're saying it is the birthright of our children to go home to where we are from so that they can have an understanding of our culture and where we come from. And more importantly, what the Jewish community doesn't do is they don't rely on other people to make sure that gets done. Yeah. They fund that within their own community.
I'm glad you used the term brilliant, because if you didn't use the term brilliant, you would be, what's the word they say against
canceled?
You'd be anti-Semitic. If you didn't say the term brilliant, that's like going back to the Jay-Z thing. When Jay-Z said, yo, this is what they do, blah, blah, blah. It was fucked up because he didn't say it was brilliant.
You know what they'll say? They'll say that, oh, that's a trope used against Jewish people. But you know,
but the reality of it.
How are we doing on time, by the way?
We could probably go another 15.
Hey, let's do it.
Was 1:30.
One thing is, I thought about like the Black Panther thing is, bro, let's be honest. You know, Black Panther could not fight against other black people well. When we first saw Black Panther, he came out that
Civil War.
Well, yeah, was it the United, their fake United Nations?
Yeah.
He was fucking up niggas. He running, he beating up everybody. And they tried to shoot him, and he said, nigga, what? He looked at the helicopter, and it shot his armor. But you remember when he fought M'Baku? Is that his name? M'Baku, right? He won by submission. And when he killed Killmonger was shocked. He was like, damn, cuz, you got me. Yeah. You got that, cuz. I ain't see that coming.
But I think that also goes to what we've been trained on. Mm-hmm. Like, the reality of it is, Wakanda would never exist because we feel like there's going to be two sides of it. There's going to be the one side that believes Wakanda can exist and can thrive. And then there's going to be the other side. So let me put it in slavery.
You know what I thought?
You have the field niggas and you have the house niggas.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
You see what I'm saying? So the field niggas, which would probably, theoretically speaking, be Killmonger, believes that Wakanda can exist if we act in a certain manner. And that was the beautiful part about Killmonger. Hey, auntie. Like, nigga, I'm going to take y'all to where y'all need to be. Because the truth about Wakanda was hidden. And it was hidden because Wakanda didn't want the rest of the world to get its technology. So then the house niggas would be the Wakandans. Like, yo, now, hey, we don't want to leave this situation that we're in.
You know what I thought about? What I thought about was that like Killmonger's more like the have-not with the royal blood. So he's like, he knows what the oppressed people need, but he has the power to get that fixed. But the people that don't know that side are going to be like, no, we don't want to do
house
that.
Niggas.
We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And when you
house niggas.
And at the end of the day, I thought about that. I think I talked to Hero, but I don't know. I probably talked to everyone about, when you really think about it, like the only way for change is to do some and that when you really think about it, what protesting really gonna do?
What is marching really gonna do?
Because you think about it, every leader. This is something I thought about not too long ago. Every leader that should have been a leader got killed.
Yeah.
Every leader that should have, like Malcolm X, was gonna link up with MLK, and shit would have really popped off. He went to
if they could have met in the middle.
They were going to.
Yeah, they were
going to.
No. But I'm saying.
Yeah.
It had
you know
to
what I'm
be
saying?
that
So
way.
it's like when you think about it.
And I always think the way the order of which they died too played a big part of it. Because I always think if
'Cause we gotta kill
LMK
the
had
peace.
died first and Malcolm X was the one left over, I think shit would have really ended differently. Because if you notice, I don't know if you guys ever seen the interviews of MLK after Malcolm X died. MLK was well, we need to have peace and we can't just attack the white communities. We need to come together, brothers and sisters. And I feel like if Malcolm X had been the one, if MLK had died first,
on some Magneto shit.
Malcolm X would have been there. He'd been like, listen, this is a sign we need to come together. We need to nationalize. We need to arm ourselves. We need to stop going through this abuse. X, Y, and Z. I think it really would have ended differently if Malcolm X had been there after said the way it did end up with Malcolm X.
Because
Is he
they
Killer
were
Mike's
different.
cousin?
Because they
Is he Killer Mike's cousin?
But because the reality
nigga's a dick.
I mean, even to your point, it had to be. You had to kill the militant first.
Yeah, of course.
No,
Of course.
Because this motherfucker is talking about any means necessary. Of
course.
So you kill him first to make the motherfucker that was already like, yo, maybe if we march and turn the other cheek, shit'll get better. You kill the motherfucker that's turning the other cheek, it ain't no cheeks left.
Of course.
Bitch, let's get this.
But you know what? Do you think it was purposely planned that Malcolm X got
Everything is
killed?
perfect
You think
plan.
so? Because this is the funny.
man.
The funny thing is, like, you saw the documentary.
Well, that was literally like the CIA and stuff was involved.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that.
Come
on,
Like,
man.
Yeah, we know that,
So
but
it's definitely planned. It's not like it's
Definitely.
Not
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying the order.
if I
We
said
never.
on
You're good, bro. You're
Hey,
good.
I guess
We
I got
never
emotional
thought about the. We never thought about the order, because we just know, oh damn, they died within the same decade.
I always thought about that.
But like, because you gotta, like, from learning perspective, we're just like, you see, like, yo, this is not right. It's like the spidey senses we have.
Oh,
You're like,
I'm finna say some real ignorant
The
shit.
Haitian in me.
I'm finna say some real ignorant shit.
I was gonna say,
Can I say?
my dad growing up, he was like, had you not killed Malcolm, we would have been in the streets hunting him.
Yeah.
Hunting him.
Ignorant
He was
shit.
like,
Hey, wait,
he was like,
I'm
That's
about
fine.
to
That's how I
say
feel.
some
taking,
ignorant.
like
That's how I
how
feel.
he said it perfectly. He was like, you guys both said it, the cheek. If you got a man who is like, this name is the name of a slave, I will do whatever it takes, and you take away the person who is giving him balance, you create an imbalance, and you leave somebody behind who believes without a shadow of a doubt that we have been robbed and is angry, and you give them a reason to be angrier. White people are already scared.
Yeah.
How much more scared
Period.
would they have been had Malcolm been on television and be like,
Come on.
we
Well,
will take it.
here's all right. So here's what.
hold on, one thing.
Okay.
You know what I thought about? That's essentially the end of X-Men.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You remember what's the when they went Back to the Future?
that's Days of
Future
Future
Past?
Past. Yeah.
That literally how that end, because I don't know if you're into that kind of shit. I could brief you on.
I watched it.
Okay, bet. So like at the end, they're like, "Yo, Magneto, we do shit this way." He's like, "Okay." At the end, he's like, "Nah, listen, mutants, y'all need." If you literally watch X-Men and say niggas instead of mutants,
Well, yeah,
It
I
hit
explained
home.
that to a white person. I'm like, yeah, the parallel is just
Yeah.
Magneto's Malcolm X, Professor X is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And like, I literally had a white kid look at me like I had just blown his fucking mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, you
'cause
didn't know that?
Yeah, you remember the speech? He was like, "Yo, y'all need to get up, pick up. You see how they treating us? What's up?"
Let's go. Yeah.
You know?
Let's go.
Well, here's where I tend to lose black people, right? I think the most revolutionary thing that we can do now, right, is really simple regular life stuff, right? Because one of the things that so immigrants are able to come here and be successful and work within the system, right? One of the things that I don't think black people realize, as far as how you're saying black people don't realize their power, we make up 14% of the country. We have trillions of dollars in wealth. Well, wealth is strong.
Spending power.
Spending power, right?
Yeah,
Same difference.
Right? If we did simple stuff, like bought houses instead of renting, invested money in the stock market, right? Made a conscious effort to do business with other black businesses, right? Started businesses of our own, right? Yeah. What's amazing is you see how fast immigrant communities can catch up to the general populace, right?
Yeah.
Imagine essentially an immigrant community with built-in trillions of dollars of spending power, built-in 14% of the population, millions and millions of numbers. The difference between where we are now and fixing what's wrong in our community, if we made a conscious decision to do it, 1-2 generations.
I totally agree with you. That's why to getting shaken off white supremacy.
And that's why, so that's why me personally, I really genuinely have no anger for white people. I really don't.
I don't care.
I think white people do the best you can, like live your life. Right?
I hate that you're here.
I don't care for
You know why? Because this was the last episode, and we have this underlying joke like, Robert, you talk too much. The reality of it is, talking as an African American, your point is, we look at the Haitian community and we be like, nigga, I know they Haitian because they driving Toyotas.
Yep.
Why? Because we would rather go out and spend money that we technically don't have to drive a Benz, a Lexus, or anything high character while still living with our mom, but we haven't built that wealth. I was gonna say some shit earlier. Malcolm.
That moment.
Malcolm.
The panic for half a second.
Malcolm Martin. On a low level, Tupac, Biggie. It was a difference because
That's a much lower level.
it's much lower if you don't look at it from the premise of what it was. The reality of it was they were two different styles, but what we totally did was we pit them against each other. Tupac was more militant. And granted, you talk to anybody watching the interviews, they'll tell you you got 100 different Tupacs. But the reality of it was, at his core, it was a determining factor of what black people needed to be. Biggie was like, yo, fuck that. We can be who we need to be through wealth. When it's all said and done, I'm going to be the flyest nigga in Versace. I said it when we went to the pizza shop. The funniest thing about black people doing comedy shows at the pizza shop was that, historically speaking, Italians don't like niggas. Period. Fact. So when you get into
Moolies,
Guinea's a slur for a reason.
Eggplants, like all of this shit, when you get into what it was, like Tupac.
Moulian, that's what that means.
I didn't know.
Okay, and clearly you didn't see Enemy of the State.
Oh yeah, that is a line in me.
Thank
I
you.
watched that
The
movie
fuck out of here when niggas don't pay attention.
What movie?
But
Will Smith?
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that forever.
That's a good.
But it's a
go watch it,
scene wherein he's meeting with the Italians and they use the term, why the fuck are we talking to this eggplant?
They said straight out eggplant or the word
yeah.
Moulian.
Yeah, that movie's mad racist. It's great.
So when it's all said and done, everything is a full circle. That's the beautiful thing about The Lion King. Hakuna Matata, motherfuckers, if you're not paying attention. Everything goes in full circle. But when we get into the political state, we'll talk about Malcolm and Martin. But there's always that lower level of just getting into it. So then when you get into it, Tupac talked about some dumb shit. But at the core of who he was, he talked about the things that we needed to do to be better. I talked to my girl Friday after we left the show. We sitting in the Lickens, finger licking, whatever, and they playing music, huh?
Was that in Miami?
We went to the one in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
But they play Thug Mansion from Tupac, and there's a line that most people don't fucking understand, and it's where he talks. He says something to the point of, Lil Natasha tell the chick it's okay to come home. And most people don't know the story of that. We'll talk about it off the air. Y'all niggas Google this and talk about it when I'm not here.
I was going to make one comment, because you had brought it up earlier, about how immigrant populations move really fast. They move really fast because they're okay to take things that we don't want.
Don't care for.
Absolutely.
Live in the hood.
Don't care for.
We don't care about that community.
Period.
They will take a community that is disheveled. I always use Dearborn, Michigan as an example. No one wanted to live in Dearborn, Michigan. Middle Eastern people moved there and went, the plumbing good. and now that's one of the lowest crime
And the types of
areas.
jobs, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
They
the nigga
build things.
that was born here who will sit in the same podcast and talk about Haitian people at a yard sale. Like, that's not great negotiation.
No, it's fantastic.
You want to hear the one thing I always used to say about that joke, but it was too real. I always felt like the Haitian yard sale. I feel like there's a reason for that. Like I said, joke. Did we say that off
Yeah,
air?
No, we
you
said it on
air,
No,
dude.
the off air because when we're saying that Haitian men don't cheat, what they don't, and then Thomas Jefferson. No, anyway, so Thomas Jefferson put a trade embargo on Haiti because the message was getting out that like Haiti did what they did. So like if people didn't know, Haiti helped break apart Greater Colombia.
Yeah.
Haitians actually fought in the American Revolutionary War, and I think we kind of had a dealing in Louisiana Purchase a little, like the Louisiana
Yes.
shit.
I
Yes.
saw so much money.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is I feel like what that created of not being able to trade with other countries, we built. Well, I mean, for the most part, not the way we could have with the trade embargo. So then within the community, we just know how to, the talk game and bartering is so good. So when we go to yard sales, that's what I used to joke about. That is our reparations. Now we come and get y'all back because y'all didn't want us to trade. Well, we bring it
at a time.
Exactly. $1. So we gonna take it to your front door, pun intended, and we gonna take what we want. So that's something.
It's easier to swallow that maybe we want equality as opposed to saying, yo, fuck these motherfuckers and let's get out there and get what we want to. And then the problem with that is we live in a society right now where we're going to talk about building the fence and we're going to talk about who can and who can't come into America. But then at the same time, wasn't that part of what America was built on? Bring your humble masses and blah, blah, blah. And then niggas
Exactly.
is like,
Yeah.
no, not
Theoretically.
theoretically speaking, but then black people knowing that that's not really actually true. I don't know if I want to make ripples. So you have some black people that's like, I'll just stay right here. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the motherfuckers that's like, yo, fuck the power. Nigga, let's get this shit.
But when you think about it, when you really think about it, so like Malcolm X and MLK, when they died, they're both turning the other corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if Malcolm X died in '74, he would have been a different. He was starting to be a different person.
Yeah, he was chilling out a little bit.
MLK ended up becoming a little radical.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and also when you think about it, you see people like that die. I feel like some people, it's like, dang. And Black Panther 68. So you think about it, like, I feel like seeing those prominent voices that we needed, when you see them killed off, it's like, dang.
That was
And the other
that
thing,
was
like-
intentional.
Yo, I'm saying like when that's killed off, it's like, damn.
So what do we do now?
Because at the end of the day, it's going to be infiltrated. When you not that I'm saying we shouldn't have prominent groups to have. It's always going to be infiltrated. Like Black Lives Matter, that shit got infiltrated hella quick.
Yeah. But like to kind of build, it's small things. The small
Very
choices
small
do
things.
much more power. Like
Yeah,
we
and
always
I don't-
want big things because we were shown in history class those men were big, and it's a distraction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like if we do small things, like Black Wall Street became a thing through small choices, and small choices are what got it taken away from us. It wasn't us.
But
it was
you got to
white
think
people.
about it.
And
It wasn't us that
Rosewood and Florida.
Rosewood wasn't us.
But you got to think about it. Those small choices happen in unison.
Period.
So
yeah.
nowadays you cannot, because you got to understand, like a group of us, like let me give you an example. Comedy, so us three can understand. As comedians, like a host probably do the improv, get $50 hosting. If we all got together as a community and be like, no, we're gonna want more, there's gonna be that one person that's gonna be like, none of y'all gonna take it. Well, shit, it's easy for me to get this.
Oh, that'd be me.
I was, nigga, no, like real
It's
shit.
that
Nigga,
one-
I'll do it for 25. And
You know what I'm saying? So it's always that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like at that you feel me? Like that situation, that can actually happen. But there's gonna be that one person be like, you know, it's like buying Louis
These
C.K.
niggas tripping.
It's like buying Louis C.K. tickets when that shit just happened. It's like, nigga, what shit? I'm getting this shit for cheap. You know?
Yeah. I was
I went
was
to see him
buy
recently.
Yo, like I was gonna buy that shit at full price, but this nigga done fucked up, so I'm getting it for half. Winning.
So that's the problem. There's always gonna be that one person that's willing.
Yeah, there's always gonna be somebody who's willing.
But I'll
There's always
give
gonna be
you-
somebody who's lazy. But like, it's It's a different situation. That's a small pocket. Like 14%, if 9% do the right thing, that's still an increase, generation from now.
So, like, I'll give you an example. And this is a conversation I have with my wife. I'm actually very proud of my wife and the decisions that she's made. I went to the hair store with my wife, right? And it blew my mind. In Melbourne, there's a couple, like, literally hair stores that are,
Middle Eastern people run it?
Yes. Right?
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. There are a couple of hair supply stores that are owned by black women, right?
Yeah.
The fact that the ones that are owned by Middle Eastern people can function is our fault.
Period.
Middle Eastern people, because I always hear black people like, these people come in our communities, they run everything, blah, blah, blah.
Period.
That's our fault.
Period.
If the Korean people open up a store in your neighborhood and you shop in there, it's you why that store is there.
Period.
Agreed.
Find a black person to open up a corner store, and then not a dollar should go through the Korean one ever again.
No.
I think the worst
the
thing that happened-
problem with that is we're not going to support each other.
Yeah.
Because we will go and pay double the price to a Middle Eastern person than to pay the regular price to a nigga because we feel like niggas trying to get up on us.
I don't know if y'all
So
saw
then
that story. Just to interject real quick. That one story
My
of when
bad.
that one lady went to the hair supplies, the Korean dude like slammed her, right? And then niggas tried to boycott. Like niggas literally like picketing in front of it. Like,
And people were inside there.
and the women are trying to buzz through them like, we gonna get our hair, we gonna get our hair. And the Korean, they even put it on a sale and they just push these dudes out the way, like we don't get our hair regardless. So just going back to what y'all say, we're on worse enemies.
NFL.
So then here's the uncomfortable truth.
Yeah.
NFL.
That in 2020,
Yeah.
it is more our fault than anyone else's fault.
Back to what I said.
So let's figure that piece out.
So I think
NFL.
Dog, the NFL, I knew niggas was not really gonna protest the NFL because Madden was coming right around the corner.
It ain't even that.
And I guess you know people ain't protesting Madden.
It's bigger than that. Let me ask you something. When you watch the news and you hear about anything that Brightline and the car is in the same story, who wins the death battle? Brightline. Because it's a bigger entity than the fucking car is.
Brightline.
Brightline is the train that they're trying to build, go all the way, whatever.
Yeah.
The reason for that is because a lot of people never take in consideration it wasn't the fucking train's fault that you decided to try to cross. It's the person in the car. But what we'll do is the story will always read, Brightline kills another person. No, Brightline didn't kill another person.
Those
The
function as
fucking
usual.
person killed themselves. Why the fuck are you trying to beat the train? You know why they put these arms down? Get it. Got it? Good. NFL. The reality of it was, and this was the struggle I had. I get what Kaepernick is saying, and maybe we should boycott. But then what the NFL did was like, all right, so y'all niggas not gonna watch? That's fine. Let's go to London. We'll go to London where they will fucking sell out a stadium. So you started out, if you go back, because this shit is researchable, when you go back, it was only probably one game a year. Mm-hmm. And we started boycotting. They did 2 games a year. Then we really was like, fuck it, Team Cap, which is going to go back to something you said way earlier. We was like, yeah, we still going to boycott. And they was like, fuck it. Not only are we going to give them 2 games, bitch, we'll give them a team. To a point that you made earlier about how we
Are they really
move.
getting a team?
Huh?
There's
They're
been
thinking
serious
about it.
talk
hasn't-
that the Jaguars are going to move there.
And
And
that's-
their owner's English. Shad Khan is English. He's an English Pakistani
So
man.
that's gonna be weird because it's NFL National Football League.
Doesn't matter.
Shut up.
Doesn't
They
matter.
don't
There's
give a
NBA
fuck
teams
about
in
that.
Canada.
That's the
National
whole.
Basketball Association, and we have the Toronto Raptors.
That is true.
So at the end of the day, when you don't look at it that way, so then my brother made a point to me that I didn't even take in consideration. Oh, Kaepernick gets this $30 million deal with Nike.
Yeah, that's why I was like, ugh.
And it's kind of crazy. Black people, because Nike is smart in what they do and how they put it out there, black people ran out and was buying Nikes off rip. Nigga, we support Cap. My brother was like, nah, nigga, if we were smart, we would have sat back and watched what white America was going to try to do to Nike. and we would have moved in from the stock market standpoint and would have bought Nike when the motherfuckers was at a low. But Nike knew that niggas was like, yo, we rock with Cap. So nigga, the moment they said it, guilty myself. Yeah. We ran out and we bought Nike, and Nike didn't lose not a goddamn dime.
They actually
of
made
that
money.
They didn't lose.
$2.5 billion
they
profit.
gave $30 million to gain far more than it.
$2.5 billion.
But then again, black emotions is so marketable. But what were you gonna say?
No, I just fair enough with Kaepernick. I just want to point out Maya Moore, who and WNBA. You guys don't care about the WNBA, whatever. But Maya Moore, 3-time champion, multiple-time All-Star, MVP in her prime. She's been sitting out she sat out last season, and she's sitting out the next season to fight criminal injustice against black people. So I just want to point that out. Just show love Maya Moore. I know Kaepernick gets all the headlines, but Maya Moore, she sat out in her fucking prime, in her good paying years. I just want to point that out. Yeah, that's all.
What is her purpose?
I don't understand what that does though.
Oh no, Maya Moore. So what she's been doing? She's been the last specifically. I forgot this not the guy's name, but he was the guy that was falsely imprisoned for murdering somebody allegedly, and the evidence what's the word? I forgot the word. Circumstantial evidence. It's not like hard evidence. So what she's been doing, she's been the last 2 years, this year and last year and this coming up year 2020. She's sat out the last 2 years and focused simply on that, just buying lawyers for the guy, appealing for him because at that point he ran out of appeals. He didn't have any money, whatever. No one was really supporting him. So she's been doing that, donating to a lot of like innocent projects. She's been donating to them. She's been really just putting all her efforts towards not even playing, not even trying to play. She's just putting all her effort towards, hey, here's this guy that I can't help all black people, but here's this guy that I feel really strongly about. I'm gonna put all my effort to get him out of jail and then go from there. That's what she's been doing.
But everything is about the narrative.
Of course.
When you think about it, the reality of it is, without the cameramen and without the directors, we would have never fucking knew Kaepernick was sitting unless Kaepernick had actually said, yo, I'm not fucking with the national anthem.
When he did sit, it wasn't that big of a news story.
It wasn't.
It wasn't until the Green Beret dude stepped in and said, you should kneel instead. And
well,
the other guys were like, yeah, that seems pretty reasonable.
That's not accurate.
Way worse.
Because they asked him. And I think it became a bigger deal, or should have became a bigger deal, when he was able to express to us in a way that we as African Americans ignorantly discuss as white people talk. When he was able to verbalize exactly why he was protesting, like they asked him, like because we had another segment and I said something and I threw it out there, propaganda, and I think we had that off camera. I believe propaganda is real, and I believe that it goes to how you understand the propaganda to affect the community. So I felt like the whole Kaepernick thing, even to the story that you're telling, the problem is we could probably argue, well, it probably meant more because Kaepernick was half white and this chick is probably full black, so who really gives a fuck what this nigga is thinking? Yeah. Like, it's that thing. Kaepernick had nothing to gain, theoretically speaking, from protesting.
Yeah.
Obama didn't become half white until we started to acknowledge, well, he's not really doing that much for the black community. And even that I have a kind of crazy feeling about because, bitch, what could he have done for the black community? America didn't want him in the fucking White House. He just got voted in. So when you get into the reality of it, like when Obama first got into the office, it was a lot of shit he was trying to do for America. They was vetoing off rip. Bitch, it don't even matter if it makes sense for America. We're going to veto it. So what the fuck you thought you were going to do for a nigga community? Which goes back to Bloomberg. For a nigga community. Like real shit. What are you going to do?
All people of color.
Nigga community.
All y'all.
You know why? Because the reality of it is if you're not pure white, you're a nigga. As laughable as that is, that's how Obama will always be in history.
I'm laughing because it's true.
I I gotta be honest. We're in Port St. Lucie. I'm looking out the window at a nigga community, so I understand what you're talking about.
Oh no! Don't do that to us. This is Fort Pierce. Don't do that.
Oh wait. Fort Pierce.
You know what's the funny part?
Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
You know what's the funny part?
It doesn't.
He was like, "Oh, we're in the hood." I'm like, "Not exactly. It's
Not
just
exactly.
hood people come around here
It's like
because
2 blocks.
yeah."
Nigga,
Well, I drove through it to get.
You're
I
on
stopped
the-
at the gas station. This girl's in a bulletproof cocoon.
You on
When
Avenue D?
I think so. I don't know.
You're on the cusp.
Nah, if
Of the
you got
hood.
off at Orange, that's still hood adjacent.
Oh really?
We're
Hood
still not
adjacent.
even. We're not
Yeah.
even there yet. If you are not using the phrase "hood adjacent," you should be. It's one of the greatest phrases.
Yeah.
Yo, let's
Like
wrap
Dark
this up.
White.
So, final thoughts.
I don't know, man. This was much seriouser.
You don't
I
tell
think
me.
I ruined the comedy podcast.
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
fine.
but
This
I
happens
think-
pretty
No,
often.
no.
actually.
This is what the popular like. Usually for the Popular Negro podcast, we'll have an episode where we're just wilding, having fun, and then usually what happens the episode after ends up being very deep and dense. So when at first I was like, "Yo, bro, let's reschedule," because I know it was his final episode. We're gonna do this, and I was like, "Nah, matter of fact, jump in." And I feel like the Hennessy brought a different level to this episode.
Yeah.
It sure did. Let's be real. Hennessy privilege. Have you had that before?
I don't know. I don't really drink. No, I'm gonna say no because
Yeah, 'cause I'm not-
I generally drink white.
now.
I generally
Pure
drink
white? You get that here? Oh no, you say white liquor in
white.
general.
Yeah, no, but I got two. Just for your ignorance, I got 2 bottles
Just
of
for my
white
ignorance.
Hennessy in the house right now, unopened.
How'd you get it?
It's not mine.
We know how you got it.
Yeah, it's
We-
not mine.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
mine.
But
That's
yeah,
why the shit is still in the house.
but yeah, man. So yeah, I just want to tell y'all thank you so much for being a part of the.
like real
Actually, I
shit.
love
And dog, dude,
Yo,
It's
I'ma miss
crazy.
this. I,
yo, can I be honest, bro? When he told me that, it hurt.
when I
It
found
hurt.
out, it did because I think like there's a lot of back and forth, and I think that is very important in our community. The thing that I battle often is being able to have a voice and also be considered a comedian. Because a lot of times when people consider you a comedian, they never want to hear your voice.
Stick to the jokes.
Stick to the jokes.
Exactly.
And so one conversation I had Darius Culpepper. Before I really knew him, he had a conversation with me where he was like, you have to understand that you have a voice. Once you get to the point of being able to express your voice, you have to use it. And so in a weird way, that's what I think like the beauty of this is. And then we got fucking Hero.
Oh,
This
God.
nigga is the most woke nigga you ever see. I'm never gonna
I
fuck
feel- I
I'm never
feel-
gonna
I
fuck a
feel
white bitch.
To be
unless the
honest,
world
I
don't
know
about
him,
it.
so it's like those two. I was like,
I enjoyed listening to this episode.
incomparable.
I
No,
want to listen.
you know,
Like really?
But I mean, like, dude, like it's so funny because it's like this podcast is literally we made something out of nothing. It just we made something out of nothing, and then I was like, yo, slide through, and then so much memories. You gotta.
And I think like and as I said to you in the message, I feel like this podcast is gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fun, but
It's gonna be fine. I think the more hurt comes from me that I'm not gonna be a part of it.
the thing it's crazy. You got to understand this podcast had made me closer to people. Me and Azam, we haven't talked because you know how life is. I see him every Sunday. Me and you got tighter. We barely see each other.
Yeah,
you know me
Except
and
for
Hero.
in the Publix parking lot.
I ended up producing this podcast purely on accident. This was not something I intended to
You
do.
know, I was just like, "Yo, help me!" And then we just kept on doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, me and Hero, that's gang.
Yeah.
And you know, Chris Rock, I'm happy to have you here, bro. Real
Definitely.
talk.
Fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, I gotta have you back again, bro.
Yeah, I want to do a lighthearted one. Like,
But you got
heavy.
I don't think that's your makeup.
No. But the thing is like this is literally the podcast. We talk about everything. Now, funny thing about this podcast, this someone I know, he's white. I have to say this because he was like, "Yo, I love your podcast," whatever, like that. Hero talking about Dark White had me dying, and then I asked him, like, because usually, like, even with a comedy, I was like, "Yo, if you were to describe what you just saw, what would you tell people?" He said, "I would say it's unraw, it's raw, unfiltered, not for the lighthearted and small-witted, you know." And he was saying that it's pretty much like it's funny, you talk real shit, you know. But the problem is that I wouldn't recommend it to everyone because they don't know what you're saying and why you're saying it.
Right.
And when he said that, I understand that he's saying that people of like, you know, maybe his white friends that go golfing are Republican, they probably won't fuck with it. No. And when he said that, I remembered Hero on the episode going, Philip, I'm gonna scare all your white listeners. I remember this nigga saying that. Yeah. And with this episode, we're getting militant by the episode when you think about it. Yeah. But that's the beauty of it.
Again, we have less and less white voices each episode. Before we end it, I do want to make an addendum. If you've made it this far and you're watching on YouTube, you can now listen to this episode in your car. Thanks to Audio Boom. You can go to the website, add that to your podcast of preference. Mm-hmm. I use Apple Podcasts because I'm bougie like that. And also, if you want to catch up on episodes, this is your first one and you're listening to it on audio, next week and the week after, every day will be an older episode redropping. Yeah.
And another thing is we're going to have a special edition episode I did with a comedian named Mike Valdez. It's fun.
Word.
It's so the episode it's so weird about this fucking podcast. Like, a lot of times it becomes relationship based. And it's like that wasn't the goal, but it's real shit. And so this episode is going to be called Purposely Naive. I'm going to make it a limited series when I talk to people face to face and get a vibe out. But
I want to do one of those because I'm married. So
that'd be good.
We could just talk game.
I'm in a long-term relationship. You're married.
We'll just talk game.
Around like half single niggas around.
Yeah,
like that.
You know. So what I want to do?
Half single.
And you know, as Haitian men,
faithfully,
exactly.
Oh, you dating now?
Haitian men don't cheat.
Here right now,
it must be Demi Lovato.
Haitian men don't cheat.
I'm done. Fuck off. I got somewhere to be.
All right. Hey, listen. Once again, I'm gonna give some shout out to my boy Azam, the voice of reason behind the boards, the comedy extraordinaire.
I promise I'm funny. I'm not this. I'm not on stages yelling at white people. Like
guilt. No. But no, Chris Robinson, my dog, one of my favorites.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely.
Hero.
No cape.
You already know that's the homie. Damn,
I'll do it for you. Listen, people, I love y'all. I love the opportunity that I had. And continue to watch the show because they are great. They were here before me, so me leaving is no way, shape, or form.
We're gonna have you back some way somehow. Don't worry.
No, definitely. I think that's my thought process. But hey, man, it's been fun. I love y'all. Hey, man, keep watching the show. I'm Robert Bass.
No fish.
No fish.
Hey,
forever petty. No, I want you to say it, bro. You end this shit up.
Hey, man, we forever petty, forever roasting. Deuces.
Papi Negro out.